to tell us a little bit more about poor people conditions. Here is our reporter Nela. Hello, Nela.
Hi Gosia, now I'm going to talk with Professor Casqueira about new initiative of European Union related to poorest people. The first question, that European Union announcement year 2010 of the year, fight against the poverty and social exclusion. Why they decide first?
It's not a new topic. Actually, the European Union has a growing interest in enlarging the scope of fighting against discrimination. And so, whereas it started in a rather modest way in its foundation, dealing with the prohibition of a restrictive number of discrimination, namely the discrimination on the basis of nationality and the discrimination on the basis of sex. As you know, it's a historical prohibition, the fact that a worker which has the nationality of one of the member states of the European Union cannot be discriminated when established in another member state on the basis of his or her nationality. It's also a historical prohibition that a person, namely a worker, cannot be discriminated on the basis of sex when working in any member state of the European Union. So this historical prohibition have been progressively enlarged to other kind of forms of discrimination. And more recently, namely with the approval of a Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union, that is now embodied and is part of the new Lisbon Treaty, what happens is that the European Union is moving towards a general prohibition of discrimination regarding, for example, race, ethnic origin, age also, which is a new form of discrimination that is growing, especially if you consider that there is a growing elderly population in Europe. And poverty is just the result, in fact, of negligence regarding various forms of discrimination and also negligence regarding, I would say, illegal also treatments that some population may suffer, such as, for example, if you think immigrants. Immigrants. It's very clear now that whereas in the past the fight against discrimination was directed towards given population that were moving in the European Union, such as workers, nationals of the European Union. Now it's enlarging to a population which are not only nationals of the European Union and also people that are not resident in the European Union, which are just crossing the European Union. This population should also be the object of a specific protection because they are on the first line. They are the first population that might be victim of poverty. And there is also, I would say, just to conclude, because we have little time, I think, there's also a growing interest in preventing or fighting against the worst consequences of what we can call the globalization process. That means the fact that, in a way, as we have now adopted a more generalized liberal way of life, this liberalism should not be a pretext, should not be an excuse to just letting our, I would say, social standards going down. Phenomena such as the social dumping, phenomena such as neglecting certain social rights or forgetting certain basic good practice, such as to combine a better family and working life, such as providing decent housing, for example, also offering the same opportunities to people with disabilities. And this kind of consideration is now in the mainstream agenda of the European Union. I think this is the future, and it's, in a way, I hope that this new year, 2010, would be much more visible, much more debated also than it was in the past, for example, with the European Year on intercultural dialogue, or other years that were, in a way, just a name, but without any substance. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come back to studio.